Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt like something about your face just doesn't feel quite right anymore? Maybe it's the way your jawline used to look sharper, or how your neck doesn't seem as smooth as it once was. You might not even be able to put your finger on it, but something's changed, and it's not just you. I've heard this from so many women over 50, and I want you to know, you're not alone. What you're experiencing is completely normal, and it doesn't mean you've lost your beauty. In fact, you haven't lost anything. You just need to look at it differently. Here's the surprising truth most people never realize. Sometimes it's not your face that's changed too much. It's your haircut that's no longer doing you justice. The right hairstyle can lift, soften, and bring out the very best in your features. But the wrong one? It can quietly, subtly drag everything down and pull focus to exactly the spots you'd rather not highlight. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the most common hairstyle mistakes women over 50 make, and more importantly, show you what to do instead. I'm not here to make you look younger. I'm here to help you look more like you, awake, confident, vibrant. So if you're ready for small changes that can make a big difference, let's get started. 1. The story and the psychology behind the mirror. You know, I once worked with a woman named Linda. She was 64, sharp, stylish, and had the kind of graceful presence that draws people in. But when she sat down in my chair, she said something that stuck with me. "I just don't feel like myself anymore. I look in the mirror and I see someone older, more tired. And the strangest thing is, I haven't changed a thing about my hair in 20 years. That moment said so much. Linda wasn't just talking about hair. She was talking about identity, about holding on to a version of herself that no longer reflected the woman she'd become. And the truth is, a lot of us do that. We hold on to the same cut, the same part, the same routine, not because it's the best choice for today, but because it feels safe, familiar, like a little piece of who we used to be, and that's completely understandable. We're constantly told that change means letting go of youth, that aging is a loss. But what if that's not true? What if aging is simply evolving? What if your face isn't losing definition but gaining character? And what if your hair, just like your style, your energy, your voice, needs a little update to reflect that? Here's the thing. Our faces change, yes. Gravity does its job. Skin softens. But that doesn't mean we have to accept looking tired or dragged down. It just means we need to be a little more intentional. When you understand how your haircut shapes not just your face, but how you feel about your reflection, that's when the magic happens. It's not about chasing a younger version of you. It's about honoring the woman you are now, stronger, wiser, and still just as beautiful. And it starts with seeing yourself clearly, not as someone fading, but as someone stepping fully into your power. Your hairstyle should support that, not hide you, not overwhelm you, but frame you in the best light possible. And that's what we're going to do together today. 2. Hairstyle mistake 1. The chin-length blunt bob. Let's talk about one of the most classic, well-loved hairstyles out there, the chin-length blunt bob. It's polished, timeless, and you've probably seen it on countless celebrities, in magazines, or maybe even worn it yourself at some point. At first glance, it seems like the perfect choice. It looks clean, sophisticated, easy to manage. But here's what most women over 50 don't realize. This cut can quietly work against you. Why? Because of where it ends. See, when your hair stops right at the jawline, it creates a strong, horizontal line that draws the eye exactly to that point. And for many of us, that's the very area we've grown more self-conscious about. Maybe there's a little sagging, a softening of the jawline, or a double chin starting to appear. That sharp cut doesn't hide it. It frames it. It acts like a spotlight, putting emphasis on what we'd rather not highlight. And the thing is, people often won't say anything. They'll say, "You look great." And maybe you do, but deep down, something just feels off. That's because the geometry of that blunt line interrupts the natural flow from your face down to your neck. Instead of lifting your features, it boxes them in. It can make your neck look shorter, your jaw look heavier, and your whole face feel just a bit more weighed down. Now, I'm not saying the bob is a bad haircut, not at all. In fact, it can be one of the most flattering shapes when it's done thoughtfully. The key isn't to abandon it completely, but to adjust it. Instead of stopping right at the chin, try letting it fall just a little lower. An inch or two can make a huge difference. That subtle drop shifts the visual focus below the jawline, giving your neck a longer, more graceful appearance. Add some soft, face-framing layers, or a gentle angle, and suddenly, the whole look feels lighter, more elegant, and most importantly, more flattering. Because here's the truth. It's not about cutting your hair to fit someone else's trend. It's about shaping your hair to support your features, your personality, and your confidence. And when you do that, even something as simple as a bob can become a quiet act of self-celebration. 3. Hairstyle mistake. 2. The super short, tight pixie cut. Now let's talk about the pixie cut. It's bold, it's edgy, and for a lot of women, it feels like a breath of fresh air. It's low maintenance, it makes a statement, and there's a kind of freedom that comes with letting go of long hair. But here's the thing. When it's cut too short, especially around the sides and the back, it can unintentionally age you. And I know that sounds strange, because pixies are often seen as youthful and modern. But when the sides are trimmed too tight, especially around the ears, and the nape is buzzed or squared off, something happens visually. You lose softness, you lose balance, and the entire lower third of your face is suddenly exposed. Now, if you have a naturally strong jawline or high cheekbones, that might not be a problem. But for most of us, as we age, we develop a little fullness around the jaw, or the skin begins to sag slightly. A tight pixie cut can highlight every bit of that. From the front, it can make the lower face look heavier. From the side, it offers no transition from the ear to the neck. Just a hard stop. And from the back, it can even make the neck look shorter. It's not that the pixie itself is the issue. It's how it's done. What makes a pixie work after 50 is softness. A little more length on the sides to curve gently in front of the ears. A tapered nape instead of a harsh crop. A bit of volume on top to balance the face and draw the eye upward. These small shifts make a world of difference. And here's a great tip. Side-swept bangs or longer fringe can completely transform a pixie. They break up the forehead, frame the eyes, and pull focus upward where your most expressive features live. You'd still get all the benefits of a short, easy cut, but now it's working with your face, not against it. Because the goal isn't to expose everything, it's to highlight what makes you feel vibrant, energized, and truly seen. A pixie can absolutely do that, but only when it's shaped to support the beautiful structure of your face, not some one-size-fits-all version. 4. Hairstyle mistake. 3. Long, straight, one-length hair. Now let's talk about something that might surprise you. Long, straight, one-length hair. It's elegant. It's timeless. And for a lot of women, it feels like the last remaining piece of their younger self. There's comfort in long hair. It feels familiar, safe, and feminine. But here's the truth. Once we hit our 50s, this style can start to quietly work against us. Here's why. Long, straight hair has weight, and that weight naturally pulls downward, toward your jaw, your neck, your shoulders. The longer it gets, the more it emphasizes the lower half of your face. And if you already have a little sagging around the jawline or fullness under the chin, that heavy shape can unintentionally highlight those areas. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? You'd think long hair would help cover or soften the lower face, but it actually frames it, like a curtain framing a window, except in this case, the curtain is dragging the whole look down. And if your hair is all one length with no layers, the effect is even stronger. There's no movement, no lift, just a flat wall of hair that pulls everything downward. Now add a center part into the mix, and you've got another challenge. A middle part splits the face in half vertically, but it doesn't offer any horizontal balance. No lift at the crown, no softness around the face. It can make the cheeks look lower, the forehead longer, and the entire expression feel heavier. But here's the good news. You don't have to give up your long hair. You just need to give it a little structure. Start with soft, face-framing layers, ideally beginning at the cheekbones or just below. These layers bring movement and light back into the face. They lift the eye, they create softness around the features. Add a gentle wave or bend to the mid-lengths, and suddenly your hair feels alive again, not just hanging there. And don't forget the power of a great fringe. Side-swept or curtain bangs can transform your whole look. They draw attention to your eyes. They balance your facial proportions. And they can make you feel instantly more put together, even without makeup. Because the goal isn't to let go of the length you love, it's to reshape it in a way that makes your features shine, not disappear. Long hair can still be graceful and youthful, but only if it's lifting you up, not pulling you down. 5A Smarter Bob, how to make it work for you. So let's go back to the bob. Because here's the truth. You don't have to give it up. The bob is a classic for a reason. It's clean, sophisticated, and incredibly versatile. But the magic is in the details. If you've been wearing a blunt bob that stops right at your jaw and something just feels off, it's not the style itself that's wrong. It's how it's customized for you. Let's start with the length. This is one of the easiest but most impactful changes you can make. Instead of letting the bob stop at your chin, ask your stylist to let it fall just below it, 1 to 2 inches lower. That tiny shift draws the eye down past the jawline, which creates the illusion of a longer neck and a more graceful silhouette. It opens up the space between your face and your collarbone, giving everything more room to breathe. Next, structure. A blunt, one-length bob builds weight right at the bottom, and that heaviness can emphasize the very areas you're trying to soften. The fix? Light layering. Ask for soft, subtle layers, especially around the front. Nothing too choppy or dramatic, just enough to introduce movement. That movement is key. It keeps the eye traveling upward and inward, toward your cheekbones and eyes, not lingering around your jaw. And now, let's talk about bangs. Side-swept bangs are one of the most underrated tools for facelifting. They break up the forehead vertically and diagonally, adding softness and flow. And when they end around your cheekbone, they guide the eye right to your smile. That's where you want the attention. Not your jowls, not your jawline. Another small tweak with a big impact? Ask your stylist to add a slight angle to the front, so the bob gently slopes longer toward your face. This subtle graduation slims the face and creates a natural taper, which makes your features feel more balanced and lifted. And if you're worried about fine hair, don't be. Thoughtfully placed layers and angles can actually create the illusion of fullness without bulk. For thicker hair, softening the shape helps avoid that dreaded triangle look, where the hair flares out wide at the bottom. In short, the bob isn't the enemy. It just needs to evolve with you. A well-shaped bob can be elegant, face-flattering, and surprisingly youthful. Not because it hides your age, but because it honors your current beauty with intention. 6. A better pixie. Shape it to support your features. Now let's revisit the pixie cut, because this style has so much potential when it's done right. A pixie can feel fresh, modern, even liberating, but only if it's shaped to support your features, not expose what you're self-conscious about. So how do we get it right? First, the sides. One of the biggest mistakes women over 50 make with a pixie is going too tight around the ears. When that happens, the lower third of your face is left totally exposed. No softness, no transition, just hard lines. But if you leave just a bit more length, half an inch to an inch, you instantly change the energy. That little curve of hair in front of the ear helps frame your cheekbones and guide the eye upward instead of downward. Now look at the back. If your nape is cropped short and square, it can make your neck look shorter and draw focus downward. Instead, try a tapered or slightly graduated nape. It adds flow and curve to the silhouette, which is much more flattering. That little softness at the back does more than you'd think. It balances the whole shape of your head and face. Next, the top. A flattering pixie needs volume at the crown. Why? Because that height draws the eye up, which gives your whole face a visual lift. It's the same principle as wearing heels for your face. It elongates and uplifts, and it adds structure, especially if you have some fullness around the jaw. And don't underestimate the power of a side-swept fringe. If short bangs tend to emphasize your forehead or mouth too much, go for a longer, angled fringe. It helps redirect attention to your eyes and eyebrows, your most expressive features, and adds movement and life across the face. When all of these elements come together, soft sides, a curved nape, crown volume, and a wispy fringe, you get a pixie that's structured but not severe, stylish but never harsh. It becomes less about the haircut itself and more about what it does for you. Because the best pixie doesn't just sit on your head, it frames your personality, it lifts your mood, it makes you feel like yourself again, but lighter, freer, more confident. 7. Keeping your length, but making it work for you. So what if you love your long hair, and you're just not ready to part with it? That's perfectly okay. You don't need to chop it all off to look refreshed. But here's the key. Long hair over 50 needs intention. Because when it's just hanging there, heavy, one length, and stick straight, it can actually pull your face down rather than lift it up. So what can you do? Start with layers. Face-framing layers that begin around the cheekbones or just below are a game changer. They help break up that solid curtain of hair and add lightness around your face. These layers soften your profile and help draw the eye to your best features, your smile, your eyes, your expression, not your jawline. Next, movement. When long hair is pinned straight and flat, it emphasizes every angle on your face, especially the lower half. But even a gentle bend or loose wave through the mid-lengths can change the energy completely. It creates contrast, and contrast creates shape. You don't need a curling iron every day. Just a soft bend adds lift and flow. And then, there's your part. If you've been wearing a center part for years, try shifting it just slightly off-center. That asymmetry adds lift and dimension, especially if your face is starting to feel a little drawn or heavy. Pair that with a curtain fringe or a side-swept bang. and suddenly your face feels balanced and refreshed, without losing your length. Here's another tip. Thinning out the ends slightly can make a big difference. When your hair is thick and heavy at the bottom, it can create a blocky shape that pulls everything down. But when your stylist removes a bit of weight and allows the ends to taper gently, your hair starts to move again. It feels lighter. And so do you. Because keeping your hair long shouldn't feel like holding on to the past. It should feel like choosing what makes you feel most like you. And when your long hair has shape, flow, and softness, it stops working against your face and starts working for it. 8. The emotional shift. Why small changes matter. More than you think. Let's step back for a moment. Because everything we've talked about, length, layers, bangs, angles, those are just techniques. But behind every technique is something much more powerful. How you feel when you look in the mirror. I've seen this time and time again. A woman comes in, not necessarily wanting a huge transformation, but simply wanting to feel better, lighter, more herself. And after just a few small tweaks, a layer here, a shift in the part, a little volume at the crown, her face changes. But more importantly, her expression changes. There's a moment that happens. It's subtle, but you can see it. She sits up straighter. Her eyes light up. She looks at her reflection and says, "That's me. That's really me." And you realize, it was never just about the haircut. It was about reconnecting with the version of herself that felt strong, confident, visible. That's the power of thoughtful change. You don't need to chase trends or do something drastic. You just need to understand how to bring balance, softness, and focus back to your face. And sometimes, all it takes is a few inches in the right direction, or a shape that lifts instead of weighs down. Because hair isn't just hair, it's framing. Just like a picture frame can completely change how a photo feels, the right haircut can either drag you down or lift you up. And when it's done well, it doesn't scream, "I'm trying to look younger." It simply says, "I feel good, I feel like myself." And that feeling, it's worth everything. So after everything we've explored today, the bob, the pixie, long hair, layers, volume, fringe, here's the most important thing I want you to remember. It's not about finding the perfect haircut. It's about finding your haircut, the one that supports your features, your personality, and the stage of life you're in right now. Because beauty doesn't have an age. It has a feeling. And when your hair flows with who you are, not who you used to be, not who someone else thinks you should be, it shows in the way you smile, in the way you carry yourself, in the way you show up in the world. Don't be afraid to try something new, not because you need to change, but because you deserve to feel seen. You deserve to feel lifted, inside and out. And often, all it takes is the right shape, the right texture, the right touch of softness to bring that version of you forward. So as you think about your next haircut, ask yourself this: does this style draw attention to the parts of me I love? Does it make me feel confident when I catch my reflection? That's where your best look begins. And if this video helped you in any way, share it with a friend who might need the same reminder. Leave a comment and tell me what resonated with you. And don't forget to subscribe, because we're building a space here for women who are ready to embrace their beauty on their terms. Thanks for spending time with me today. Wherever you are on your journey, I hope you always feel like your reflection is someone worth smiling at.